Welcome to the Big Book Roundtable and the Rico 12 family of recovery resources targeted at people from all backgrounds, faiths, and places dealing with the manifestation of alcoholism of all kinds and all varieties. We're grateful to be here as a resource to all of you out there as we dive deep into the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Justin B. I'm a child of an all-powerful, perfectly loving God and a multidisciplinary addict living in the miraculous recovery promised in the Big Book. And I'm joined by Nikki M. and David G. sitting around this virtual roundtable on Zoom. Grateful to be here with them. Let's start with Nikki today. Nikki, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself?
Hi, I hope my internet's working. It likes to eat my soul. I'm Nikki M, and I like to eat people's souls too when I'm not plugged into the 12 steps. I'm a grateful member. I'm so happy to be at this table with Justin and David. They're just bright spots in a dark world. And this table is really where I get my daily dope, my weekly dope, I should say. God dope. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. All right, David, your turn. Why don't you say hi and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely, Justin. Thank you for your service. Nikki, always good to be at the table with you, sister. I'm David G. I'm an alcoholic addict of many sorts, recovered by the grace of God, and a hell of a lot of experience on the other side. And man, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm been given the gift of sobriety since August the 8th of 1994. So, man, just super, super grateful to be alive, to be healthy, and to be here with my people. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And I'm grateful to be here with you too. All right, we are going to continue diving into step 10. The last couple of episodes, we've covered the maintenance paragraph and the promises paragraph. I'm sorry, the rewards paragraph. I got to get that right. The maintenance paragraph, the rewards paragraph. Today, we're going to be covering the next two paragraphs of step 10, which is the warnings and the promises found on page 85. And I'm excited to get into these two and see where our experience, strength, and hope takes us. So you out there in the listening audience, grab your big book, turn to page 85 into the chapter Into Action, and follow along with us. Get your highlighters, pens, paper, and everything ready to go and get into action as we do this. All right, I'm going to start reading. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means more action. All right. So as I read these couple of paragraphs, there's a lot in here, and I'm excited to hear what we've got experience, strength, and hope wise from Nikki and David. Nikki, why don't you start us off today?
Thank you for reading that. And I just, as I always say, I love to hear the big book read, especially just a few thoughts and paragraphs at a time. Have you ever been in a meeting when they're reading half the book and you're like, what's going on here? So I love this podcast and thank you. It's very easy. It's very easy to let up. Like when you're driving and you let up on the gas on the spiritual program. This is a program. Let's think about that real quick. My old programming does not work. I need a new computer program. Think about it. What's a program? It's a coded instruction for the automatic performance of a task. It's the instructions to control the operation of Nikki. And it's a set of related measures or activities with a particular long-term aim. I'm in a program of action, meaning I can't just sit and talk about the steps. I can't just go into a meeting and barf my problems all over the rooms. Then it says it's easy. And on the program of action and rest on my laurels. What are laurels? Laurels, and I always have my sponsees Google these words. We're in a North American podcast right here, but I sponsor worldwide, and I know you two do also. A lot of my sponsees speak 7, 6, 5, 4 languages. English is their worst. Google the language. And Laurels is getting satisfied with your past success, getting satisfied that I'm sober. I'm picking up my 10-year chip, but you're overeating. You're sleeping with people that aren't your wife and your husband. Wake up, wakey rooms. It's easy to get complacent in this program. And it says, warning, warning, you are headed for trouble. If you do what? If you get lazy, if you get cocky. Stagnation kills an addict like me. I have to stay green and growing. It says, for alcohol, how about alcoholism? The disease of addiction is a subtle foe. See, it's a liar. I'm not cured. It's like cancer. It's just in remission. It's just in remission, waiting to pop out again. I'm not cured of alcoholism. What Nikki really has is a daily reprieve. I like to tell my young sponsees, watch the movie 50 First Dates, where she forgets who she is. And every day, the boyfriend has to put in a VHS tape to remind her who the hell she is. She don't know. Drew Barrymore. It's a great movie. This is what we're doing here. We forgot that we are powerful, that we are all loving creatures, that's who we really are. We've been blocked. Okay? So I get a daily reprieve contingent that's based on the maintenance. And in our some other episodes, we talked about it. If I just maintain this 51-year-old body, I am going to be in a shitload of trouble by the time I'm 81. I have to improve. I have to stretch. I have to watch what I eat, skin, improve. My house is literally, you guys, 130 years old. I have an old Victorian in downtown Toronto. If I don't improve it, my house won't be worth anything, because maintenance isn't enough. I have to improve conscious contact. And that's how I maintain my spiritual condition. Every day is a day that I must. When you see the word must, circle it. You don't get a day off here. See, I love you. Nikki, you're going to scare the newcomer. Good. The newcomer needs to be scared, because our success rates are not good, especially in North America. Wake up. You don't get a day off. You must carry the vision of God's will. Remember, you're fired, God's hired as the CEO of Nikki Incorporated into all our activities. And this is where I messed up, and you guys know it. I've told David and Justin, I was in tears many days. All of our activities, number 1, your family, number 2, your job, number 3, the newcomer. I had that backwards. I had the newcomer first, the job, and then my family last. And I almost destroyed my whole life. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. Thoughts. This is all about what you think you become. Must go with Nikki constantly. Never a day off. What I think I become. This is radical. This is a thought life. And I can exercise my will along this line. What line? God's will. Loving, patient, kind, tolerant. David talked about it in 2 episodes ago. You don't let people crawl all over you and walk all over you. We stand tall as God's people. This is a fine dance, and it takes a lot of practice. It's proper use of the will. What's proper use of the will? Living in God's will, not my will. And much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from him, capital H, love. No one's looking for God. We're looking for power, who has all knowledge and all power. Go deep with your sponsees, everyone. Believe your book. If the book says God's all powerful and all knowledgeable, and then do it and believe it, because the book repeats itself. This is just repeating what we've read over and over again. If Nikki have you carefully followed these directions? And the directions in the book, not the directions that you've heard for 30 years from old timers, not the directions you heard from your sick sponsor, not the direction you heard from your sick fellowship in a different book than the Big Book. Are you following the instructions of the damn big book? I'm getting weird. Sorry, you guys. But I got a lot of people calling me dying these days. Oh, hi, we're in 2025. It's really weird. And we have begun to sense, oh, I love this flow of spirit. Come on, we could talk about that for days. I'm going to let David jump into that one. Spirit world. God, I love the spirit world. There's nothing wrong in the spirit world. Spirit, breathe. Breathe. To some extent, we have become God conscious. I'm going to let David kind of go through the rest, but I want to talk about this. What happens after you stop breathing for 4 minutes? You don't die. You lose consciousness. That means we're not breathing in air. We're breathing in God consciousness all damn day. If I do not breathe for 4 minutes, I lose consciousness. That means I'm breathing in consciousness. I'm breathing in God all around me. Okay, I'm getting weird. We have begun to develop this I have a vital sixth sense, and not the kind that goes, I see dead people. No, I see star seeds. I see angels. I see fairies. I see love. I see rainbows. I see God everywhere and everything. But we must go further, meaning don't leave the room, stay here, and let's listen to David with more action.
All right. Thank you so much, Nikki, for going into that and sharing your experience, strength, and hope and those insights. David, why don't you take us through those paragraphs and share with us some of the things that jump out at you?
Yeah, absolutely, Justin. And Nikki, thank you so much for your share, sister. Just love your energy. And one of the few times this book says that this is going to be easy is right here. And it's not easy as far as letting up on me in any way. It's easy for me to let up on the spiritual program of action, which is steps 4 through 9. We've covered that over and over. People tell me, David, this is an honest program. Show me where it says that. It says that, it demands rigorous honesty. Yeah, but it's not, it doesn't say that it's an honest program. It says it is a spiritual program of action. And so it's easy for me to let up on that. And that's exactly what we've seen on the prior page. If I'm going to remain in step 10 all day long, every day, watching my thoughts, asking God to remove them when they show up, discussing them with someone immediately, making amends quickly, and turning my thoughts to someone I can help, it's going to be easy. Now, guys that I put into this, in the beginning, they take off with this pretty good. But after a short period of time, you'll begin to see those 10 steps slow down. You don't see them coming as much. And, I'll take them out of the group, or if they're doing it one-on-one, I'll have a talk with them once or twice. But that's about it, because I'm not going to sit around and watch them get sick, and I know they're going to. How do I know? One, it happened to me. Two, that's exactly what the next sentence says. We're headed for trouble if we do. It doesn't say I'm going to get drunk. It doesn't say I'm going to act out, but I am headed for some form of emotional trouble. You can bet on it, and that's what it's going to lead to. Alcohol, lust, whatever it may be, is a subtle foe. We're not cured. Now, we have recovered, but we're not cured by any means of alcoholism. What we really have is this daily reprieve, contention on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. I really want to zone in on these two words, every day. This is how I know it's not a 10th step nightly review. It doesn't talk about me doing this at night. It talks about every day is a day when I must. People say there are no musts in the big book. Yeah, there's one right here. There's many of them in here. But it's a day when I must carry the vision of God's will into all of my activities. So if you look at this, on page 83, it started the 12 prayers, the 12 meditations, and the 12 visions on 83. We got to step 10. It did it again right there. We get right here. Here's another one of those 12, 12, and 12 right here. We must carry the vision. There's different things that I do to write examples of this so that I can get a deeper look at it. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. That's a prayer. How can I best serve thee? So these are thoughts, like Nikki said. The only thing that has changed between the front of this book And where we're at today is the way I think, therefore the way I act is completely different. Now look at what it says. These thoughts must go with us constantly. Now I can exercise my willpower along this line. All I wish is the proper use of the will. When I came into AA almost 31 years ago, they told me that willpower would never be my friend again as long as I ever lived. Will and I, our relationship was done. It was over. But according to my book, that's not the truth. It says we can exercise our willpower along this line that we've been reading about. All I wish, because that's the proper use of the will. I do get my willpower back, but it has to be redirected. It has to be God directed. And then look at these beautiful promises. Much has already been said about receiving. I really want to look at that word because, is this what I want to do? This is going to start leading me into prayer and meditation and vision. And I'm going to receive, by doing that, I'm going to receive strength. I'm going to be inspired. I mean, I'm not walking around with my head down all the time anymore. I have direction today, but it's from Him who has all knowledge and power. I mean, all of those words, look at those words closely. Receive, strength, inspiration, direction from Him, knowledge, power. These are the things that are mine now, only if I've carefully followed these directions. It says, I have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into me. It's not that it wasn't already there, because it was. Now I'm beginning to recognize it. I'm beginning to sense it. And to some extent, I've become God conscious, to a very good extent these days. So I've begun to develop this vital sixth sense. I love that. And it's more developing as I go along. There's things that I'm doing today, and I think, man, this is so wonderful. And then something new will pop up, and man, I'll take off down that trail with it. There is no end to steps 10 and 11. I do prayer and meditation quite often. And Bill wrote in the 12 and 12 this statement. These two steps, talking about 10 and 11, taken separately can bring much relief. But when you intertwine them together, it becomes an unshakable foundation for life. Now, when I'm in my two-way prayer, one of the things I really watch for, because the mind will begin to drift, I watch for selfishness. I watch for dishonesty. I watch for fear. I watch for lust. I'm right there with God, so I'm going to discuss it immediately right then. I'm going to turn away from that, and I'm going to come back into that quiet time. And by doing that, man, do I ever receive strength, inspiration, direction, knowledge, power. It's just a way of life. Hell, I can't breathe without it these days. So I just love what it's done in my life. I love the way that it's restored my marriage. I love what it's done for me in my career. The guys that I work with today are on solid ground. I'm seeing these guys help people all over the world. I'm seeing them speak. I'm seeing them sponsor people and them sponsor people. Hell, I've got great grand sponsees all over the world. And it's just because of what happened right here. And it started right in this living room floor that where I'm sitting this morning or today. In 2019, I was dying. I was dying with 25 years of recovery. And I just knew I was going to drink again. And I just said, God, I don't know what the hell is going to happen, but whatever it is, help me be ready, because I'm not. And man, He put me into this book with somebody, and we went through it again in a different way. And it's absolutely not only changed my life, but the lives of millions of people around the world. They did it put them on YouTube and Spotify, and man, it went widespread. Yeah, all knowledge, power, and direction. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, Justin. It is. I know you're a big part of it, my brother, and so are you, Nikki. Really glad to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So appreciate it. And this is, I'm just grateful. That's all I can say. Grateful and humbled by the connections that I've been able to make through this fellowship of recovery. It's just crazy how these connections happened around the world and with people that I just can't even imagine have been connected with me. So Nikki, what I'd like to do is I love this analogy, the thing that you say to some of your sponsees, hey, go watch this movie 50 First Dates and to reset every day. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that concept of reset every day. What does that mean to you as we apply this reading into this comment?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you. And when I went into CA, remember, I came into the rooms through Al Anon 13 years ago because I had to save my alcoholic. Ah, and that didn't go so well. And then I got a sponsor who said, you have a sex and love problem. And I was like, what? That's not for me. That's for Pee Wee Herman. And then I got armed with all the facts of this disease. And he's been on your podcast before, Cameron F., made the approach and took me through the big book. And I went into my first CA meeting and he goes, Nikki, you can go in there. Like, it's okay because it's open and da da da. I went in there and I heard this guy say, at night when I'm sleeping, my disease is doing push-ups in the parking lot. Like, I mean, everyone's heard it in every room, but I had never heard that. And I was like, wait, what? You mean it doesn't go away? They're out there literally fit. Like, think about this. Your disease is doing push-ups, getting bigger. My disease likes to take steroids when I'm sleeping and get real big and unmanageable. And so then I have to wake up. And then I'm like, who am I? It's every day. It's this awakening. See, I've gone deep into the spirit world, and I know that I chose to come to earth. And when I came to earth, exactly what happens, we forget who we are. We're in earth school. The game is to remember who I am. And David, you helped me see this. It's not that I'm the character defects. That's not who I am. I'm love. I'm all the spiritual principles, but I get blocked by all this stuff coming at me. And I forget who I am, just like sweet little Drew Barrymore forgets in 50 First Dates. And if you have enough people around you, they will remind you daily of who you are. Stay in the rooms. You guys remind me every day when I'm with you. Well, not every day, but when I'm with you. I get you twice a week, Justin, because we record twice a week. And you remind me how special I am, how loving I am, how incredibly beautiful, how incredibly like wonderful I am. And so you have to remind me because I fall asleep and the world tells me I'm no good. And then there's someone in the rooms who tells me I shouldn't be here. And then you guys remind me. That's why I have to stay in the rooms. That's why I have to stay in the book. That's why I have to stay in these disciplines of 10 and 11 of 12 every day. I just saw the vision. I'm looking at David in his living room on his thing, and I'm just thinking about him because I get men like that and women that are dying sober. And I know like what we're doing here is so important because this is Bill's vision for us to remember who we are, that anyone looking for a spiritual way of life, wanting to remember that you are a loving child of God, we're here to wake you up and remind you every day with our magic book. I'm weird. I've got menopause and I'm going to see my friends for dinner.
Thank you, Nikki. And go have fun with dinner here in a few minutes. But first, we'll close this up. David, before we do that, you said something that I've never heard quite said this way. We're headed for trouble. That doesn't mean necessarily we're going to go get drunk, we're going to go relapse, we're going to go do this, but it puts us in a spiral into a bad place that may eventually happen. Talk to us a little bit more about that headed for trouble concept and how why we need to watch for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've read all the way through the book up to this point. The self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. And so if I'm not aware of what those things are, then I'm headed for trouble. And now, there again, there's things that I do today before I go somewhere, say like Nikki's going out to dinner with some friends. There was a time that I couldn't do that without my awareness completely being focused on another woman, or if I see someone attractive. My deal now is I don't dance around the edge of that. I go right to prayer before I go in, and I consciously am aware of where I'm at and what I'm doing, and I completely stay present with my wife during that entire time. And so, but the question you ask is, that's exactly what it says. It's easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We're headed for trouble. There's all kinds of emotional trouble that hits way before the drink ever comes. We know that. It's the insanity that precedes the first drink, the first acting out, the first love affair, whatever it may be. There's always insanity that precedes that. And to me, that's what that's talking about in that part of the book. I'm headed for trouble in those areas first. And then by the grace of God, if I don't drink, at best I don't drink, I'm in all kinds of trouble up to that point. So, you know, I'm headed for trouble one way or the other. I'm just grateful that through everything that's ever happened to me, one of the things that I've never done again was to go back and to drink or use. Now, I've done everything else. I have. And I'm not proud of that today. But I can tell you that had that behavior continued, I was at the edge of the abyss. I was getting ready to step off, and our book says to a place to where there's no return through human aid. And I was there, 25 years sober. Now, I'd had a lot of good experiences through the years in the spirit world, and but you know what? Those wasn't sufficient that day. I needed a new one, and so I don't know about you, but I know about me. If I rest on my laurels, if I let up on the things that we do here, I know exactly what's going to happen to me, and it's going to happen to a whole lot of other people as well. And then I'm going to be the one go down the drain. So that's why, you know, a guy that's not serious about doing this work, don't waste my time. People say you shouldn't be that way with me. I don't give a shit. That's the way it was done with me. They told me day one, you know what? Don't waste my time, dude. When we get to amends, it says all, you're going to do them all, not a few, not the ones you think that are important, all. And so a big part of me staying in the spiritual world is continuing to watch for the things that block me off and cut me off. And I've got to do it in the order Nikki said: home, occupation, affairs, in that order. And without that, I'm a dead man inside of the rooms. I know I've got a body that cannot, um, you know, it cannot take alcohol, and I've got a body that will not produce alcoholic drink inside of me, and I got a mind that can't process reality. I'm trapped two different ways, and without this solution, I'm dead. So for me to rest on this, that's insanity. So, you know, and you know what is the most craziest part about it for me though, is I haven't taken a drink in all those years, but I sure as hell wasn't sober. I can promise you that. So I'm glad to be here today. I am sober today. God is number one in my life. Wife is number two. All of you guys are number three. So really good to be here. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm excited to be number 3 in your life, David. That's awesome. And I'm honored to be there. All right, let's do a real quick takeaway, and I'll start us off. My takeaway today is just how grateful I am that we have been able to go through these step 10 paragraphs over the last couple of weeks of recording, and how much that has really opened my eyes to more in-depth purpose and meaning to step 10. And I'm really excited to get into the more action we're talking about in step 11. All right, Nikki, what's the takeaway you have from our conversation today?
My takeaway is I love you, David, because my mom lives in my house. I love you for many reasons, but her husband took a pistol and blew his head off in front of her, drunk on pills. He didn't die instantly. They landed the plane in the middle of the cul-de-sac in Prescott Valley, Arizona, and he died midair. And so I can't wait to hug you and hold you, because yeah, man, you made it. You didn't do it. You did the right thing, and I just want to hold you. So God, I don't know, is it the menopause or am I hungry? I just love you guys so much.
Thank you, Nikki. All right, David, what's a takeaway for you?
Well, it's just that I'm so incredibly grateful that God has brought the three of us together. to be able to learn from each other, to be able to share with others around the world who listen to this podcast, and just to be a part of today. I'm so grateful, man. I tell you, my wife and I have been home for a few extra days. My birthday is tomorrow. I'm going to be 58 years old, and I'm just so grateful to have had extra time with her, man. We just living it up. We're having a hell of a time. So, I guess, I'm not going to say a takeaway per se of any of the sentences in the book, but my takeaway is I have begun to sense the flow of his spirit into me through you, but more importantly through her, but most importantly through him. Thank you.
Man, love that. Everybody out there, come be number threes with each of us. Join us in this fellowship of the Spirit and come trudge this adventurous and amazing road of happy destiny with us as we connect with number one, number two, and with each other at number three. Work it. You are worth it.